Back on our show, it's great to have local businessman Mike Tudor with us. He's going to tell us about, we're going to talk Cuba a little bit, the president's recent trip to Cuba, how it might impact Louisiana. So Mike, welcome back. Always good to have you.
Thank you. It's fun to be back. I was mentioning before that we went on camera that it was exactly a year ago that our Cuba Hoy group from Louisiana, 75 folks, businessmen, professionals that went down there to explore doing business as the relations warmed up.
You were part of that group?
Yeah, I was part of that group, and in 8 days down there, learned a lot. I loved the country, saw the potential, and came back very much a supporter of normal relations, dropping the embargo. One of the principal reasons is because Louisiana would be I think the main beneficiary of normal relations, our historic ties with Cuba and our agricultural imports. And the embargo and isolation has been a horrible failure of American foreign policy. You know, with the Soviet bloc countries, we engaged cultural exchange, student exchange, trade, and the winds of freedom and democracy accompanied that exchange. Whereas in a way you could say isolation has helped an authoritarian regime stay in place. And I think you're going to see sweeping changes. And even Trump, who is the leading Republican, I won't say, I don't necessarily support, but if you take the leading candidates, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, both are apparently going to support normal relations and dropping the embargo. But I'm part of this Engage Cuba group that we want to keep pushing that agenda to let's have normal relations.
It's a national organization as well as a statewide organization.
Right, that's correct.
And what has changed from a year ago?
I think what has changed is the psychology of the American people as more and more groups like ours go down and come back and say normalization and trade is the way to end this remnant of the Cold War, and in our case of Louisiana actually have some economic benefit. I had the feeling from being down there last March that this was a process that was going to gain momentum, just like the first brick of the Berlin Wall came down, the game was over. And I sensed that this would gain a momentum, and I guess I was in a minority viewpoint with our group down there. I felt like it would be quicker rather than slower.
And I'll tell you what, those folks really need it because the economy is struggling.
Interestingly, they still have a great affection for the Castros and for Che and that group. They love the revolution. And our history with Batista is a dark history, I'll tell you that. But they want the economic advantages and improved standard of living that they see around the world, even in, quote, communist countries like Vietnam and China. They know the people are better off. So they have a great thirst for the rapprochement with the United States, thinking that economic advantages will come with that.
They like Americans. They want Americans to come to Cuba.
Amazingly, even with the Cold War history, we found nothing but warmth and goodwill with the Cuban people everywhere we went.
It's going to be interesting, though, as we talk about franchises moving into that country. You said they really can't support freestanding.
Right. Well, you know, I went with Mr. Shelton, and he's been on your program, and he's talking about Popeyes. I'm not sure you could put a franchise out on a street corner in Cuba and make it economically. The most likely place will be some of these new hotels that'll be built. You know, Trump says he's going to put a Trump hotel there. There are existing European hotels. Probably you'll want to get your marquee or your name down there in one of these hotel complexes and maybe a little upscale. But the whole national economy, I think, will have to improve before American franchises really can sustain themselves. You have the issue of just importing the chicken. So all of these kind of issues have to be worked out.
And you were also talking, you knew a couple that went down there and visited. Their tour guide was a physician and a lawyer.
A physician and a lawyer. And
had
to supplement his income.
As I told you last year, remember, they have the highest literacy rate probably of any country in North America. They have universal health care. You have to understand and give them the credit where the credit is due. They have high standards of health and education. But the communist system, of course, has kept, it's worked. They're all equal. They're all equally poor.
Right. Great information. Thank you so much. It still is going to be.
Come back, Mike.
I will.
Get us an update.
Thank you.
More to come on our show. The Rapides Foundation. They'll join us in just a minute.